呀。各位朋友，会计师协会北美华人会计师协会的朋友，大家好。今天呢，很高兴开始我们第三个月的 Room Meeting，是我们的保险理财这个财税的讲座。今天呢，很荣幸我们请到了we have from the title company Provident Title。Joy and Ron, and then also 我们有那个Central Escrow Yvonne Lau and then Betty Chow. Anyway, 我先I'm going to speak in Chinese first. 今天呢是我们这个税季以后呢第一次的meeting. 希望呢我们今天的这个讲题能够对我们会计师方面的同仁呢会有一些帮助。我的猜测是我们的会计师朋友们大概有一半也有房地产的realtor license, real estate licensing。当我们碰到客人他有 cash 的买卖房子的时候，可能 most likely 的也会有一些 requirement 我们要特别的注意。根据我的了解，大概在差不多3-4个礼拜之前，有客人介绍一位在国内的朋友打电话给我，说他的房子在 Escrow 里面快要 close， 他才知道说有 Withholding 的 issue。那多少钱我们就不去谈了。那这些事情呢 ，theoretically 呢，跟 realtor 是有关系的，或者说他有去问过他的会计师。那我想呢，如果不管您是他的会计师，或者是您是他的 realtor， 或者他就是来咨询你，问一下，哎，会计师，我有这个现在要卖房子要 withholding， 那我想您也应该提供他一个正确的一个方向。或者是您的客人他要买房子的时候，买房地产有现金进来的时候，可能我们应该在这个方面呢，要提供一些注意的事项，并不是说这是多了不起的事情，但是呢，这些东西呢，我们最好呢能够提供他一个正确的方向。在 title company 方面会要求些什么，在 escrow 方面会要求什么，尤其对于外国人，不管您是代表买方或者代表卖方，我指的是外国人的那一方，都有很多事情需要特别的注意，非常的重要，会有一些 issue 出来。那我们这样子，我不用浪费太多时间，我们先请我们的那个副会长那个 Paul Chen。Paul， 您在线上吗 ？Paul？ Paul。OK，Paul 还没有上线哈。他本来他有一些事情，他要跟大家报告一下。4月26号我们会有这个hiking， 我们会有 hiking 的事情。在这件事情呢，他要跟大家，他是负责这个活动的召集人。4月26号礼拜六。那待会等到他上线的，因为他有跟我说他是在那个什么他是在外面，他有一点事情。没有关系，我们待会再请那个。那我们现在呢，就先请我们的第一个 speaker。第一个 speaker 呢，我们是那个 Joy Villamayor Joy， 还有呢 Ron Bautista 的 title officer。Joy 呢是 rep， 通常呢在提供我们很多很方便的东西。那各位，如果您在 title 方面有任何需要一些资料，会有一些问题的话呢，可以打电话给 Joy。我先把 Joy 的电话呢，你如果有兴趣，你可以写下来，626-319-2226 626-319-2226。You can contact Joy, and then you have any title needs, question, welcome to call them. and then they can provide a lot of information for your need. Okay, now the one provident title, they're going to talk about requirements for foreign wire transfer, what title needs. Okay, Joy, Ron.
Hey, good
Yeah.
morning,
Hello.
everyone. Thanks for inviting us, James. I just want to brief you on what title company does for you guys. It's basically a requirement in California to have title insurance when you're doing sales transaction or a refi. Basically, what starts with the escrow, the agent actually, if the agent has a listing, they would go to escrow. Make sure you have a good escrow like Yvonne and Betty to go to. They will open the title search with our company. And basically what we do is we search the property for any liens or judgment, child support. That's where my title officer, Ron Bautista, comes. That's what he does. And basically we get the information. As soon as that search, it goes to searching, examining, and typing to finish the prelim report. And in turn, it's going to be forwarded to the escrow. So the escrow will basically know what the requirements are from the title company, what needs to be done. It's basically the clearest way of saying title insurance is issuing clear title to the next owner to make sure that they're not responsible for any type of liens that we search for them. And that's why where we come in is to search the property. And I work with Ron Bautista for a long time. Provident has been around since 1985 when it first opened. And Ron I've known since 1980s, mid 80s. So he's been doing this for a long time as well. So like I said, you need to get a good escrow like Yvonne and Betty to work with on your deals, because they're basically the in-between from title and escrow. They're the one who's going to tell escrow or title. Title will tell escrow what we need, and in turn, the escrow will let the client, this is what we need from your client, the documentation to make sure that all the documents are done before recording. And what happens also before the day of closing of the transaction, the title officer does a date down. And basically date down is when they check if there's any new liens that popped up on the system. And also very important to make sure that the notary, the county recorder, when they close the transaction, the notary is all clear, because the county recorder can reject the document if it's not done correctly, and that's going to delay the transaction. Ron, my title officer, will touch on foreign wire transfer. So without further ado, that's my title officer, Ron Bautista.
Hello, folks. How you guys doing? Thank you for showing up, inviting us here. So I just want everybody to be apprehensive and precautious about wires, sending out wires. Basically, our industry has been under attack for more than 12 years now, with wire frauds. So basically what we need to do is that wire fraud remains a serious concern in the title and escrow professionals in the industry, and we're always working on trying to stay ahead of the bad actors. Wire fraud and high risk wire fraud attacks frequency has very much stayed the same the last few years. Nothing's the same. The fraudsters are still there. They're looking out for victims. So professionals are always constantly receiving an average of fraudulent email, trying to get this fraudsters trying to hack professionals' email to intercept their wire instructions. So the record shows right now that 1 in 5 wires that are fraudulently sent out by fraudsters, that intercepted by fraudsters rather, are not recovered. Or rather, 1 in 5 are recovered. 4 out of the 5 are never recovered. So the important thing is that we have to verify wire instructions, because wire fraud risk is high and still getting higher. Manual fraud mitigation is still too common. Recovery is 1 out of 5 wires are only recovered. The rest are not. So as a precaution to the realtors representing your buyers, make sure that you get your wire instructions from the escrow. And I suggest that you contact the escrow or the title company that gave you the wire instructions, and make sure you write down, verify that wire instructions verbally, make sure everything is accurate, because once you get the wire instructions, you need to verify that as well with what you confirmed verbally. We have international wire that's done through SWIFT, and what I would do is that if you need to send us wire for any real estate transactions, you could contact us. We'll email it to you. Once you get the emailed copy of the wire instructions, always contact the title company, and verify the written wire instructions that you got, and compare it verbally that was given to you. And that goes with escrow as well. So for your earnest money deposits, or you're buying cash, you're going to send the whole amount of the purchase price to escrow. Once escrow provides you the wire instructions, you give them a call back and verify verbally that the account numbers and all that information on the wire instructions are provided you are accurate. And the international wires, we also have the wire instructions for that. It goes through the
那我
SWIFT
怎么也没
account.
看到别人呢？哦，在这。对，那我
And
可不可以不要看我自己？不是你在哪里？
once you get that, you need to verify with your escrow and title professionals. Make sure the instructions provided you are accurate before you give it to your bank. So I'm not gonna go into other details of title, but the purpose of title is to make sure that your seller gives you clear title to your buyer once you purchase the property. Any liens against the property, against the seller, are cleared before title is transferred to your new buyer. So basically, with that said, to safeguard everyone involved in the transaction, always call the escrow and title independently to verify verbally all information provided within the wire instructions. And so once you receive the instructions, you compare with the instruction that was given to you and make sure they're identical before sending out any wire.
Also, Ron,
the industry has lost billions and billions of dollars over the years, and this is a serious threat to our industry as well.
Also,
I'm sorry,
Ron,
Joey.
I'm sorry, Ron. Quick question also on that: the transfer wire should always match the number, correct? One number that's wrong, it's out, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Everything has to be identical. If one number, one digit off, that's not. You have to confirm that, verify. Emails are being intercepted by fraudsters, and they create an email that's similar to escrow or title. What they would do, they would put their account number on the wire instructions. And if you're not apprehensive you think the email is coming from the escrow, but it's a hacked email. It looks similar, but it's not. So always make sure that all the digits, the numbers that's on the wire instructions are matching what you confirmed with the escrow. You have to do that verbally and make sure that's always correct. And that goes with verifying it with any company that you're wiring the funds to. Make sure the information are accurate. The digits, the numbers are all the same. Make sure it's 100% accurate. Any discrepancies, stop and verify all over again.
Which
Thank you, folks.
will delay the transaction. So Ron, one quick question: the foreign wires, is it more predominantly in the foreign wires than domestic wires?
We do a lot of we receive a lot of domestic wires.
Is that less of a problem than foreign?
No, it's the problem is that when you don't verify the instructions and you know a fraudster intercepts somebody's email, so now they're gonna provide a new escrow instruction or wire instructions. Instead of going to the title or to the escrow, it's going to the fraudster's account.
Yes.
So that's where the problem is happening. So always verify verbally that the wire instructions provided to you are accurate. Thank you. So if you guys have any, I think I'm only supposed to say something about the wire instructions and all that good stuff. But if you guys have any title questions, you can contact Joey and I can share my email to you. James has my email address as well. And you could contact me directly. And as I mentioned, James Hwang has my direct email address. He could share that with you as well as Joey Villamayor. And I don't want to add any more. That's pretty much it. You know, make sure that everybody's apprehensive and make sure the precautions are always taken seriously. Make sure the wire instructions are always accurate and verbally verified with the recipient. If it's escrow, you call the escrow officer directly that you've met and spoken with before, and you verify that wire instructions verbally.
Okay. Hey, Ron, I have a question.
Okay.
I remember one time, one transaction, the buyer, or I think the buyer using the cash, and then I heard from title company, they require them to fill out some kind of form. Those forms required by the U.S. Treasury Department or something like that. Is that right? Or
Oh, that's the FinCEN form. If the property is within the geographic targeting area, like LA, San Diego, San Francisco, San Mateo counties, and certain states like Florida, they have counties. There's geographic order which came from the Treasury Department. So basically, if the property is being purchased by an entity other than an individual, they are required to fill out the FinCEN form. It's preventing money laundering. That's what that's doing. But that only involves if the purchaser is an entity like an LLC, partnership, or a corporation. But property is being purchased by an individual, it's not required to be completed.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
By the way, that document, that FinCEN it's with the Financial Crimes Network.
Okay.
That document submitted to title, that's not a title company requirement. That's a U.S. government requirement. Once that document is submitted to us with a copy of all the deposits in escrow for the purchase of the property, we submit that to the U.S. government, the Department of Treasury.
Okay. All right.
As I mentioned again, that is not a title requirement, but rather a U.S. government requirement, U.S. Treasury Department requirement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me repeat the
Thank you very much.
Rep Joey title, rep the phone number 66-319-2226. Welcome anybody. Call Joey or can talk to Ram if necessary for any title related questions. Welcome. Call them. They will help. Tell them from a CPA association, yeah, from James Wayne, refer to tell them they will help you. You want some title information, any property, and then you can contact Joey or you can call me. I will help you to get the probably we call the profile. And yes. Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much for inviting us.
Thank you so much. I know you are very busy today. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, James. And 谢谢你.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Next time I say say Chinese. Okay. Yeah.
你笑什么?
All right. Thank you, Joey. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Ivan. Bye,
Thank you,
Betty.
folks.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Betty. Bye, Ivan. Bye, James.
Bye, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. The next speaker is from Central Escrow Group Company, Ivan Lau and Betty Chow. And then I know them for quite a bit of time. And then their office in Diamond Bar on the Spring
Golden Springs.
Oh, Golden
Golden
Spring.
Springs Drive.
Golden Spring. Okay, okay. Phone number, office phone number, 909-860-5140. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, Betty. Thank you. And then,
Hello.
okay. Now, they're going to talk about the foreigner when they either sell or when they're selling, and then realtor when you represent them, you have to inform the seller, or you have to do something, especially if you are the accountant and then you are the realtor representative. Have to be very, very careful. All right, go ahead. Thank you.
You want to go first? But let me just start off saying, hi, this is Yvonne. Escrow holder cannot give any legal or tax advice. Please request seller, buyer, agent to seek for advice from their own legal and tax professionals. So, but Betty, you want to start first?
Well, you start first, and then I will announce.
Okay, all right. Hi. Now this segment here is about FIRPTA. So, what is a FIRPTA? FIRPTA is basically an acronym that stands for Foreign Investment in Real Estate Property Tax Act. That's what FIRPTA stands for. FIRPTA is not a tax, it's a withholding. So the IRS implements a withholding on foreign sellers to make sure they pay their fair share of taxes, right? And so the IRS requires the escrow company to withhold 15% of the sales price of all U.S. real property interests by foreign person. 15% is for property over 1 million, and anything, if the buyer intends to use the property as a residence and it's under 300,000, there's no withholding. The buyer has to sign a form. Now, if it's above 300,000 to 1 million, there's a withholding. The withholding, again, is not a tax. It's a withholding until you file your taxes, until the foreign seller file your taxes, right? So who is the withholding agent? The buyer is the withholding agent. And who counts as a foreigner? A foreigner is a non-resident alien individual, a foreign corporation, a foreign partnership, a foreign trust, a foreign estate. So if you're a real estate agent that are representing a seller and the seller is a foreigner, please, please, please let the escrow holder agent know right away, because there are proper procedures that we have to notify the buyer. The buyer has to fill out a proper form so that when the escrow closes, the proper withholding is done. We do have a case where the buyer has been notified the seller is a foreigner, and so the buyer was a first time buyer. Her partner was very, very concerned about them being the withholding agent. So it needs to be disclosed right away. You're taking a listing and your seller is a foreign person, please do everybody a favor and either, since you're also professional, a CPA professional, maybe you can help them, or will you be in a position to help them to apply for an ITIN number? Is that something you can help your seller to apply for one? Because it's not that quick now to obtain one. It's a long process. So those should be dealt with upfront. Because the IRS calls it as a withholding. It's actually not, it's withholding at the IRS. At the close of escrow, the funds within 20 days need to go to the IRS. Either the 15 or 10% has to go to the IRS within 20 days. So the dates and the process is very important. Now, there's one rule where if the buyer intends to use the property as a residence and the property is under 300,000, there's no withholding. Okay, but if it's the buyer's using it as a principal residence over 1 million, then it would be 15% withholding. Oh no, sorry, it's 10% if their buyer's resigning. But if they're using as a investment property, then it's 15%. So, and anything over 1 million is 15% withholding. I know you might have questions and you might heard of the 8288B. I believe it's in reality, the foreign sellers now rarely apply for 8288B because the wait time takes longer for the taxes to be returned. So once the escrow closed, let's say you closed in October, so you can file your taxes the next year with the 8288 form, it's quicker than the 8288B. If you guys have any questions regarding the two different 8288B and 8288, I'm sure Betty can go into detail with that as well. I think I know I threw a lot of information right away, but am I confusing everyone?
No, very clear.
Okay, well, Betty, can you maybe chime in and see if you can add on to some of your knowledge as well?
Okay. Hi, this is Betty from Central Escrow. You know, actually, 8288 and has been a long time. It's just that now, because of the increase of the foreigner selling and buying, so that's why it becomes a very big issue, because not too many of us know before how to handle this. Okay, there's an escrow that we opened for so many years. We have been doing this for a while already. So to what I know is, if the seller is a foreigner, of course, like Yvonne said, the best is to have the agent to give us upfront that the seller is a foreigner. And then when we send out the forms, then we can send out the forms correctly. Like, because if the seller is a foreigner, then the 593 and then the FLEPTER, everything has to be sent out for the sellers to sign and return. And the buyer, there's an 8288 form that needs the buyer to be signed. After closing, we need to submit that to the IRS. So if we know heads up, then we can have the paperwork prepared correctly. So doesn't need to go to the end and then everybody is rushing for closing and then we start working on it. So it's really a big help if the agent can let us know, because we are only escrow. We look at the paperwork. We don't determine whether the seller is a foreigner or not until the paperwork's returned back. And we are not an investigator. So from what we've seen on the paper that the seller complete, then we decide whether they are a foreigner or not, because by looking at the form, if they have a social security number under, and if the agent don't let us know that they're a foreigner, we automatically think that, you know, the seller is a, you know, is a U.S. citizen. And, you know, we might only withhold the 593, the franchise tax, and not the IRS. But a lot of times, the seller, even though they have a social security number, they are not considered as a citizen, or we still have to withhold the franchise tax and the IRS tax, because a lot of times it depends on the visa and the working permit. So it's really up to the agent to provide us all the details and let us know that the seller is a foreigner, even though they have a social security number. So that's the thing I need to bring this up. I don't know if I'm correct, James, but you know, is this what it is? And so it's very important for us to communicate very closely and let us know that the seller is a foreigner, so we know how to withhold the tax. And regarding on the 8288 and 8288B, the difference is 8288 after closing, then we withhold the tax and send it out to IRS right after closing within 20 days. But the 8288B, it has to be submitted before the escrow close. That means escrow withhold the fees, withhold the withholding amount in escrow until further notice. Okay, and it has to be filed before closing. It cannot be filed after closing. That's the important part. So it's really up to the, you know, the CPA, how you communicate with your client. Ask them to do 8288 or 8288B, and then you let escrow know, and escrow will go from there. But like Yvonne said, it takes a long time. And after closing, usually escrow, like me, I will ask the listing agent or the seller who is your CPA, then we will submit whatever we submit to the IRS of the 593 franchise tax, we will give the CPA a copy. So next year, then they can file the tax with our information. So this is how we do and handle on the foreigner.
And also, Betty, we wanted to bring up that, you know, our package to the IRS are very, there's certain ways we send out. We have to have certified mail with tracking. We provide the forms, the completed forms, that copy of the check. We kept that, you know, of course, that's our records, and then we provide that to the CPA. That is,
yes.
right? That's
yeah, because our job is to withhold on behalf of the buyer. So after the escrow close, then we will forward a copy to the CPA and the seller, you know, just to let them know in the future. So I think the listing agent and the CPA, it's better to have a specific or specialized, you know, CPA that know how to do the foreigner withhold. Is that right, James? James?
He's out.
He's out.
He's not on the right.
So is there any question regards the withholding? I think that's conclude.
Yeah. I have two questions. Okay. Number one.
I would hope.
Number one, and sometimes some agent, when they representing the seller, foreign seller, they try to show they have a capability to request a waiver, to waive the withholding. Has those been approved before by IRS?
No.
No?
We will always tell the agent there's no way around it.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's no way around for the IRS withholding or the franchise tax board withholding. It's really up to escrow only take instruction.
Well,
So yeah, it's from the CPA that tell us sometimes the franchise tax no need to withhold if the seller physically they are working here for more than 2 years and they filed their taxes. Sometimes even though they're a foreigner, like I said, it depends on the visa and how long they are here. So sometimes the franchise tax can be waived, but not the IRS.
but James, let me bring this. Yeah, I mean, waiving could be that the money's still holding here, this 8288B, okay? So we might receive a letter from the CPA that's helping the clients apply for the tax ID number and the taxes, file the taxes. We might receive a year later and say, okay, we receive a withholding certificate from the IRS. The amount has been reduced, or it could be waived. The amount could be zero. But the money, remember, that's not before we close escrow. The money sits in escrow, the 8288B. We can receive a withholding certificate from IRS stating the withholding
because they will have a cert saying
Right.
that, you know, how much money they're going to withhold and then you can release the rest of the money.
Yes. Is that the question, James?
Yeah. Second question is I always inform the foreign seller after withholding, get a copy of the cashier check from the escrow. You know, maybe later easier when they apply the IT number, and then when they file the tax return, they can attach the copy those withholding check with the return.
Oh, yeah. No, we have the whole package, not a cashier's check. It's escrow check. It's a whole package with the cover letter, with the forms the proper forms that need to be included with the check, and with the what do you call that? Certified mail stamp. It's very important. The certified mail stamp is very important. So the whole package will go to the CPA and the seller.
Yeah, and then
at closing.
Yeah, they have a two notes. I think you know you mentioned that. You mentioned a very important. Number one, 20 days you're going to mail it to the IRS, and then number two, the buyer is a withholding agent. It's responsible for any shortage on the withholding the tax, and then so if short, IRS they will put a lien on the property, and then that's a buyer becomes a seller. Becomes the owner, so that's a problem. You know, we I had a case before, and it took about almost 6 months for those 1.5 tax lien, because from the previous seller who from Italy, and then he left already, and then to resolve the whole matter. But anyway, so
we also noticed. Yeah, we also noticed lately that the money that's been held here in escrow, the 8288B. The buyer received letters from IRS. Yeah. So the buyer said, "Oh my gosh, you know, we owe this amount of money." They were panicking and they come to escrow. The agent came to us and we're like, "Don't worry, we have the money here." And then we actually already send the money out. So we send the buyer a copy of all the supporting documents that this been paid. And then, you know, then that was it. Their job is, our job is done. And as the buyer withholding agent, they're done as well. Because the withholding certificate came in, it's clear. We sent out the package to IRS, complete. Release the balance of the fund to the seller. We're done, and so are they.
All right. Thank you, Hwang. Thank you, Betty, from Central Escrow Group, Diamond Bar office. The phone number 909-860-5140. You have any question? You need some information. You need the escrow to help. Give them a call. No problem. Okay? Give them a call. Thank you, Betty.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now 各位 我们会计师朋友记住了，当你有一个 foreign 的 seller 的客人，如果你也是 realtor 的角色，你要帮这个 foreign seller 卖房子，很多 realtor 都会告诉说 ，Don't worry, you're going to have a money back， 然后呢，很快就可以有 money back refund。然后其实这种话都讲的真的是不太合适，因为 you never know what's going to happen。然后呢，尤其你要代表这个 buyer 你要代表 buyer， 然后的 seller 是 foreign seller 的时候，拜托我们一定要特别小心，不然一定会有 lawsuit 出来。因为 buyer is acting as a withholding agent， 如果 hold 的金额不对，有麻烦的时候，到时候呢，这个令就是加在这个你的客人这个 buyer 的这个房子上面，而且呢，他们认为 buyer 是 responsible for 这个 shortage 或者任何的问题。IRS 已经在他们的税法上都讲得很清楚，所以当您这个有了这个 foreign 的这个客户的角色，应该要提供一定要避免掉这些问题。OK， 好，下面呢，我们请这个Dr. Andrew Hwang， 因为有一天我在那个 Huntington Library 走路的时候，很多人大家在这边讨论，然后呢，他们有邀请这个 Andrew Hwang，Andrew Hwang 呢，他是 graduate from University of California Irvine UCI, followed by his Doctor of Dental Surgery DDS from the UCLA, and then also he got a master in periodontology. I'm sorry, okay, it's very long. I'm sorry, Andrew. And then from the Columbia University, and then 他的grow up the whole family. 他是我们台湾的第二代的ABC born in the US 的 person 的小孩，但是他现在呢，他很specialize 在这个我们所谓的这个 blockchain and the crypto rails。加密货币啊 ，I don't 这个real I checked from the dictionary 区块链与加密轨道的这一部分的投资，所以呢，我听了他在那一天大概2个月前嘛 ，2 months ago I heard it 他Chinese a little bit 讲中文most of it English 跟这个 AI 方面有关的。我听的我还蛮有点兴趣，但是我是听的无煞煞，我也不是很了解。那我就想请他来给我们那个，因为这可能是一个很好的一个年轻人他们很喜欢做这种投资。那个什么他认为房地产这些呢是一个 headache 啊，每天要有人交租金，不交租金都很麻烦。那我们就请的 Dr. Andrew Hwang 帮我们来讲一下，看看有没有什么好的投资的方向。Thank you, Andrew. You're taking over. Yeah.
Oh, Sister James, thank you for that introduction. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, cool. All right, so I'll give you a quick introduction on myself. I used to be a periodontist. A few years ago, I started learning about blockchain. I started getting very interested in it and invested heavily into crypto and private equity. It allowed me to retire from being a dentist, and I was actually giving a lecture at UC Irvine regarding blockchain, and that's when I was invited to join a hedge fund by David Roston for me to run their blockchain and now their AI funds as well. So what I'm going to try to do with this talk is I'm going to briefly go over what's going on with crypto, blockchain regulation, but I'm going to try to save a lot of time for questions because there's always a lot of very good questions regarding this space. All right, so when most people think about crypto and blockchain, they're specifically thinking about two different cryptos. And the two cryptos specifically are, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. But what I'm trying to get you guys to focus on is that there's going to be a lot more cryptos that are going to play a major role in the financial system than just these two. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum were created to try to decentralize money and power away from the large commercial banks and the central banks. Ultimately, I don't think that will ever happen. I think all the governments will always protect the central banks to make sure that they can control their own money supplies. So there are other cryptos and companies that are working with them that I think are going to play a huge role in the future. What we're also starting to see is that all assets in the future are going to be tokenized. So when we say tokenized, what that means is bringing a physical asset, like something that exists in the real world, and bringing that representation onto blockchain formats. So an example of this would be like a real estate deed, right? Right now, if you wanted to trade a real estate deed, it's very onerous and it takes a lot of time. You have, like the city registry, and you have to go through all these different things. Once it's tokenized and brought onto the blockchain, it becomes liquid, all right? Significantly more liquid than in the current setup. But it's not really just real estate that's going to be tokenized. Everything from stocks are going to become NFTs and also brought onto the blockchain. Everything from derivatives, options are also being tokenized and brought onto the blockchain, right? And because of this, blockchain technology is right now becoming the future financial system. Everything in the world, everything of value is coming to blockchain. So I think blockchain is a very interesting opportunity to make wealth, because never in the history of any technology that I know of where all the value of the world comes to one singular technology. And that's what's happening right now with blockchain. So a few years ago, this is only 25 years ago, we had headlines like this, that the internet may just be a passing fad as millions give up on it. Obviously, when we look back on this 25 years ago, this is a very funny ad, because all of the largest companies in the world now are internet-based, right? We have the FANG companies from Google, Apple, Amazon, etc. And just a few years ago, after the FTX fiasco, right, in 2022, crypto crashed, and we had the same headlines declaring the death of blockchain and crypto. So whenever people come up to me and they tell me that they think crypto is a scam, I always tell them, you are 99.9% correct. The vast majority of crypto projects out there, of which there are at least $10,000 to $20,000 worth, are scams and BS. Similarly, if we look back at the internet 25 years ago, most of the website companies that claim to be doing something innovative, all of them basically died. There are only 5 massive winners generally in the internet, and then you have another maybe 50 to 100 internet companies that are also doing well, like let's say eBay or even like Yahoo. The same thing's going to happen in blockchain. You're going to have about 5 massive winners that control or have a huge part of how money moves around the world. And you'll have another maybe 50 to 100 companies that are also going to do well, but then everything else is going to go to zero. And when you look at this chart, this is the internet versus crypto adoption curve. What we're seeing is that the internet, the users of internet versus the users of crypto, is growing at the same exact rate, and it's at an exponential rate. All right. So even in down years of crypto, where the crypto prices are plummeting, like from 2018 to 2020, you are seeing that the growth rate is still exponential on number of users. All right. Basically, what's going to happen is everyone in the world is going to use crypto within the next 5 to 10 years, whether you choose to or not. And the reason why is because all of the central banks and large commercial banks are using blockchain technology now as their underpinning for their financial rails. So in the future, you're going to notice that you'll be able to move money seamlessly and a lot quicker, even if you didn't sign up for it. It's just because the underlying infrastructure from the bank and the commercial banks is being migrated to blockchain rails, allowing you to move money instantaneously. And what caused the recent boom in crypto? Well, there's quite a few things. But when we were going back a few years from when FTX died and then crypto started coming back, it's because all of a sudden we started getting a lot of Bitcoin ETFs, right? And the major player that pushed the Bitcoin ETFs through was BlackRock. BlackRock, as you guys know, is the world's largest hedge fund. They manage well over $11 trillion in assets, and it's so big that they literally own 5% of every single company in the S&P 500, where they can demand a board seat on every single one of these companies, right? So BlackRock was able to push through the Bitcoin ETFs in the prior administration under Biden, who was actually very anti-crypto. And what I'm trying to show you now is how everyone has actually been adopting blockchain technology, even though the narrative for the past few years has been very anti-crypto. So here we have companies from Google, Apple, Amazon, Elon with X and Twitter. Obviously, all these companies have been invested in looking at cryptocurrencies and adopting cryptocurrencies for years. Likewise, Wall Street has been doing the same thing. These are just a snapshot of some of the largest banks in the world, from BNY Mellon, BlackRock, Bank of America, JP Morgan. Everyone has been looking at blockchain and have been looking at it for years, right? Some of these headlines are from 2022. And now this is when I say all the world's money is coming to blockchain. You don't even have to take my word for it. You can take the word of the BIS. So I'm guessing the vast majority of you probably do not know what the BIS is. The BIS stands for the Bank of International Settlements, okay? It is literally the central bank of all central banks. The BIS is co-owned by the 65 largest countries on Earth that comprise 95% of the world's GDP, all right? So when they tell you that 90% of surveyed central banks are exploring central bank digital currencies, they are absolutely the de facto entity to make such a statement. Now, your next question will probably be, what the heck is a central bank digital currency? Okay, so a central bank digital currency is simply the money supply of a country now brought onto blockchain rails. All right, so that's why when I tell you all the money in the world is coming to blockchain, it is absolutely happening, because all the money in the world is printed by central banks around the world. Okay. And here are some of the headlines from which countries are going in. Just, some big countries that I found, right? India, the New York Fed, which is the largest branch of the central bank of the United States, the UK, China, of course, and then Brazil. Now, Trump has banned a CBDC from being issued in America, but what they're doing instead is issuing stable coins, which is just a privatized version of a central bank digital currency, but it's the same kind of rails, same kind of idea. And this is from 2022 now. These are headlines of, again, all these massive banks that are entering into blockchain and crypto. And remember, in 2022, that was a very bear market for crypto in general. But lawyers, right? Goldman Sachs is now on the hunt for bargain crypto firms after the FTX fiasco. So the way Wall Street generally works is Wall Street will tell you something isn't very good. And what they're doing when they're telling you something not good is they're buying up a lot of it. Once they have enough of the asset themselves, then they start issuing the ETFs so they can make money from you, from fees, and they can make money off the appreciation of the asset. All right. That is the tipping point that we're starting to see right now with blockchain and crypto. And of course, here's Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Fidelity. All of the largest banks in the world are moving towards crypto. Here's just more proof. These are more banks from 2023. And you even have universities. They've been invested in blockchain since 2018. We're even seeing now that MasterCard recently has tokenized 30% of all of its transaction data on blockchain rails, right? So we're seeing blockchain already starting to take a big percentage of what is going on with transaction data. We know what's inevitably coming is all of this transaction movement of money is actually going to be put on blockchain as well. Elon Musk has even talked about exploring blockchain to use to put all the debt and all the use of money on blockchain rails in order to make the US government more efficient. Now, this is from the DTCC. You guys are probably not familiar with them, but that stands for the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. This one entity settles $5 trillion a day, trillion with a T. And for 3 years now, they have been looking at basically migrating all of the settlement of Wall Street stocks onto blockchain rails. All right. So why are they doing that? Well, if you guys have ever had like $100 and you're buying and selling stocks, you know that trade times are T+2. Trade date plus 2 days. That's how long it takes for the money and for the stock to actually settle when you do a trade. And the reason why they have that is the current financial rails are so slow that if everyone is buying, selling, the current financial system cannot keep up to date. So it doesn't know who actually owns what, right? So that's why there are wash trading rules. So the DTCC wants to migrate over to blockchain rails because now you can actually move and settle things near instantaneously, right? So that brings a lot more liquidity into the market. The market becomes a lot healthier. And of course, the DTCC can make a lot more in fees because every single time you do a stock trade, they make like 11, 14, 17 cents per trade. Here's another headline, BlackRock. Since last year, they have announced that they are building a Texas stock exchange to compete against the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, right? And how they're doing this is, again, with blockchain rails. They're going to tokenize all of the stocks into NFTs and then allow you to buy and sell stocks through blockchain rails. And here's just more, right? BlackRock is already tokenizing $10 trillion of real world assets, all right? And BNY Mellon, which is one of the largest banks in the world, it's only for very wealthy people. They're also talking about the same thing. So we know all of that money is inevitably coming to blockchain. The one thing that I hope you guys understand and realize from this talk, if it's just one thing, is that blockchain and crypto is not a scam. It is a underlying fundamental technology that is right now being adopted by every single bank and institution around the world to make financial systems more efficient. All right, if that's the only thing you get from this, that's my job is done. So a lot of things now have changed ever since Trump has become elected. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the previous administration under Biden was super anti-crypto. And the reason why they were anti-crypto wasn't because they were trying to protect investors. It was because the largest donors for Biden's administration and to Elizabeth Warren comes from the big banks. Okay. Trump, interestingly enough, was very anti-crypto in his first term. He is now very pro-crypto. And the reason why is also because the biggest donors of Trump's win this time also came from crypto companies, right? So now he's also become pro-crypto. And why has he also become pro-crypto? A couple other reasons. Under the Biden administration, a few years ago, he became a convicted felon. When he became a convicted felon, all of his entire family got debanked. So there are interviews of Eric Trump talking about how because they got debanked, they now realize the value of crypto, right? Banks naturally hate crypto because crypto decentralizes power away from the banks. So the banks can't control money. That's why banks hate crypto, all right? But now, because of this, Trump became very pro-crypto. And also a few years ago, he released a Trump NFT collection. He made tens of millions of dollars from it. Whenever Trump can make money, he likes it. So all of a sudden he became pro-crypto, not only because he realized crypto can make it so he doesn't get debanked, but also because he can make money from it. And of course, he's doing that right now with one of his entities called World Liberty Financial. What else has he done? He's appointed someone named David Sachs as the crypto and AI czar. If you guys are familiar with the PayPal mafia, that comprises of notable people like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and David Sachs. All of these people worked at PayPal and modernized and brought financial payments onto the internet, right? This guy is very pro-crypto, he's very pro-AI, and they created this position really just to support crypto and AI innovation, which has not been happening under the previous administrations. There's also a new SEC chief, Paul Atkins. He's now the SEC chief. He is also very pro-crypto and innovation. And we're finally getting regulatory clarity, which has been lacking in the space, all right? So how did the Biden administration hold back crypto? They held it back by not having clear regulatory guidelines for how banks can work with crypto. Now, all of this is happening, so crypto will do very well under Trump. Another thing that Trump did right when he got elected is eliminate a rule called SOB 121. This was a prior SEC rule that made it such that if you are a bank or an entity or a company trying to hold crypto assets, you would have to literally list it as a liability. Now think about how ridiculous that is. Bitcoin right now is trading about 85,000 per coin, okay? You have to list it as a liability on your balance sheet and therefore have other assets behind it to back up the liability. Even though we all know if I have one Bitcoin, I can sell it right now instantaneously for $85,000. All right. So this was immediately removed. What also happened 2 months ago, in my opinion, the most bullish thing I've seen in my 8 years in crypto is we got an executive order from Trump that we may start to stockpile digital assets, right? He specifically named 5 of them: XRP, Solana, Cardano, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Eric Trump has also been talking about proposing a 0% tax on USA crypto. This would also be incredibly bullish, right? Because then if you buy and sell cryptos and you make profit, it would be a 0% tax. And we've even gotten so far as Trump and Melania releasing their own official meme coins. And where I think we're going that is very interesting now is in the current climate where we're starting to get a lot of tariffs and a lot of distrust. Where we're going to head, I think, in the next few decades is the global reserve currency status right now, which is the US dollar. I think eventually we're going to migrate to a crypto standard. We're going to start using crypto as a global reserve currency status because it'll then allow you to do trade globally without trust and even with your enemies and not depend on a fiat currency of a country you don't like. All right. So I will go ahead and end there because I'm sure you guys have quite a few questions and I'd be happy to answer whatever you have.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. I have only one question. Is this easy to make money?
Okay, so I would say nothing is easy to make money. From my own experience, I went heavy into crypto in 2017. And then the next 3 years was my crypto account was probably down 90%. And it wasn't until the COVID, after COVID, the government started printing a lot of money, and then the crypto prices started booming again. That's when I did pretty well. But I had to have not only the conviction, but the knowledge to, even when my crypto prices were dropping 90%, I was just buying tons of it, right? I was literally putting all my last money I had into it. So unless you have the knowledge and conviction and passion for the crypto industry, it's not a very easy field to understand. And the reason why it's so difficult is for you to understand crypto, not only do you have to understand the technology, which is very challenging, you also have to understand geopolitics because money is always tied into geopolitics. You even have to understand the basics of regulation, even securities law, right? And you have to understand even a little bit of history and money, right? So it's a very complicated subject. That's why I think the vast majority of people do not understand blockchain and crypto, but the people who do understand, I think, will do very well, right? Like I think crypto is going to do as well as AI, if not even better, because again, I also run a crypto fund where we got into OpenAI, XAI, quite a few of the big name large language models. But the reason why I say that is because the focus is on AI because everyone can understand, oh, okay, these robots are so smart and they're going to take over the world. When people don't understand something, that's your arbitrage opportunity. So that's why when you mentioned the real estate in the beginning, I kind of agree with that. Real estate is fairly easy to understand. So there's not a large arbitrage opportunity. When people don't understand something, that's when you can make money.
Okay. No wonder most young people they don't really enthusiastic in the real estate investment. Probably sometimes they heard from their parents, a lot of hustle, tenants, you have dealing with the tenants all the time, payment, no payment, and then in and out, you have to check the credit, and you have a lot of hustle on those things. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Sure.
I mean, if there's anyone you have a questions, let me know. I will forward it to the Andrew, Dr. Hwang, and then for the answer. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
各位在线上的朋友呢，我们要请Paul Chen，他要讲几句话。他有 trouble， 还有 trouble 的sign in， 所以因为他在外面，所以他说希望能够I'm gonna call him right now, so he gonna talk a little bit， 请大家在现场等一下，OK。Paul. Hey, Paul, yeah, go ahead. You can talk now.
Oh, okay.各位, should I speak English or Chinese?
Yes.
OK， 那讲中文可以吗？
讲中文的 ，Yeah, of course. 你讲英文我听不懂，你要讲中文的。
因为大家 safety 会，那可以首先要具体的跟大家报告，就是我们4月26号，应该是下个礼拜6，在那个 Shanborough Park， 就是 Withholding Tax 那边同一嘛，跟 Azusa 那个角落，在中南角那边哈，我们有一个我们举一个 hiking， 跟那个 hiking， 那希望这次是 invite 是家人。等一下啊，还会把这个 flyer 都在我们贴纸上，是希望大家接龙啊，看名，还有哪位家人要去的话，就上上起来，让这个到时候可能可以让我们的餐会加大家。那今天好像是4月26号的这个我们还刚不 trail 的话，那这个多少走完以后就下来到这个 area 去这个大家聊天，那大概下午1点1点半结束。只要是我们的活动，希望大家呢那再麻烦大家接的时候。
OK, Paul. OK, 好，那就先这样子了。OK, thank you, Paul. Yeah, all right, thank you. OK, 各位那个Paul 他已经刚好在外面了，然后呢他有 troubles 要sign in 这个 room meeting。那我们呢就是会有一个接龙，4月26号我们那个 hiking。Shabram 的那个什么regional country club country park， 然后过几天我们会把它 PO 出来，那个我们算好需要人数prepare for the lunch 的 matter， 然后这些东西呢，这事情呢我们都会在下面下个礼拜之前我们都会正式的那个在网络上面呢我们会 PO 出来，请大家有兴趣的话sign in。你可以你看你们有多少人要参加，都登记一下，我们好准备 lunch 呀，好吗？谢谢大家 ，Thank you。今天呢，我们的这个活动就到这边结束。非常感谢，今天有 trouble sign in， 他们说那个 room meeting 那边呢有 trouble， 所以很多人呢想上来的都没有办法那个，但是我们这个呢会公布在YouTube 上面，那 YouTube 呢？请大家去那个订阅，这个 subscribe 这个订阅非常的重要。如果我们有1000个人的订阅的那个名字的话，我们可以同时的做 YouTube 的那个，在我们做这个 room meeting 的时候，同时可以开启那个YouTube 都可以同时做同步的播放。其实这个呢，就是完全是一个我们社区的一个服务。以后你们可以把你们公司的网站也可以放在我们那个上面，你可以把您的公司的广告或者您的名片都是免费放在我们这个我们这个网址上面，到时候可以慢慢累积了很多的这个我们所办的活动的这些资料在上面，然后大家会养成一个习惯，会常常会到我们的这边，到我们这个网站上面来看一些我们做过的这些活动。这个有些活动呢，我们做的一样，像今天的这个 seller 这一部分，下一次我们还会有不同的重要的information 来帮助我们会员了解一些提供一些在这个知识方面呢大家的一个大家彼此之间的讨论彼此之间研究。我 James 非常感谢今天在这么忙的当中，大家都来参加我们这个活动，非常感谢。今天很不幸 room 的 meeting， 我手机一直在响，那个刚才打电话，他们好几个一堆的，他们说他们都没有办法上这个，我不知道是不是他们说是 room 的 meeting， 他们 Google 的说是 room 那边有 problem， 好吗 ？Anyway， 谢谢大家 ，Thank you， 下个月再见，谢谢 ，Thank you，
谢谢会长，
谢谢 Nick，谢谢。